traveler. Welcome, everybody, to Born to be Wild, a Hearthstone podcast, a Wild exclusive Hearthstone podcast, and one of the best ones out there. Let's be honest, there's two, and we're at least top two. So I think we can agree with that, right, Nate?
I think that's fair.
Perfect. Shout out to Hearthstoners. Nate, how the hell are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. My boy cat was sick the last couple of days, and we were worried about him, but he's doing better now. He was barfing everywhere and thought he ate something gross, but he's doing better, and that makes me happy. So, yes, anyways, aside from that, I'm very, very happy because we have our good friend Ridiculous Hat with us, and I love you, Hat, so I'm very happy to have you on.
Thanks, buddy. I love you, too.
Okay, I think Hat is like... I think Ridiculous Hat is like my Hearthstone dad because you are the person that I always go to for advice on stuff, and it's not always Hearthstone stuff. It's like all kinds of stuff. So,
well, I think Ridiculous Hat is known. Well, by the way, that is a ridiculous hat. For the podcast listeners, he's wearing a hat as big as his torso, which I love. Bigger than his torso, I'd say. What's it say on it, Hat?
It's the Mad Hatter hat. I have no idea. I just know it's...
It says in this style, 10/16. Yep.
It's very cool.
Yeah. But, like, I don't know. Maybe I should have gotten the big one.
I have to say also for the podcast listeners, you're wearing the shirt of my favorite game. I have put more hours into Hollow Knight over the last 2 weeks than about any... I'm playing Hearthstone quite a bit, but Hollow Knight has got to be probably one of my favorite games of all time, so... I've been replaying it on PC over the last couple weeks, and it's been a blast.
Yeah, it's good.
Big fan of that game.
Yeah, it's great to have you here, Hat. I was thinking the other day, is it weird to you that there is people out there who have known you like on a personal level for like 2 years, and you don't know them at all, just from the podcast?
So, like, the podcast dynamic is interesting because you are sitting in a room with a few friends that are having a conversation. You get to be a part of the conversation, kind of, but it's also one way. So it creates an interesting dynamic where people definitely feel like, hey, I'm friends with this person, but it's a one-sided social interaction. At the same time, it's really nice to be able to interact with people. And I'm going to cough. 1 second. I'm going to mute.
This is what happens when Hat coughs. It's getting really gnarly over there. Oh, he's almost back. Drink of water for the win. And here he is, folks. Ridiculous Hat's coming back at you.
That's the first time I've ever had my hydration process be live commentated. So a lot of the awkwardness of an initial social interaction is there's kind of a lack of a shared knowledge about each other. When someone is able to start a conversation and they already have some kind of base of knowledge, it strips away a lot of that awkwardness, and people are more willing to just engage in a good faith conversation right away. Now, not always, and sometimes it can get, but sometimes people can misunderstand the relationship or be a little bit too forward. But in the vast majority of cases, it is a large net positive to just be able to have a lot of people that want to interact with you about a hobby that we all really enjoy.
Yeah.
Well said. It is really cool. Like, me and Nate have a little bit of experience with that from when we used to do Into the Wild, and it is so interesting, the dynamic of it, where these guys, like, it's true, they really do know a lot about you, a lot about your joking style, all that, and the next thing you know, you're kind of making friends. And it's funny, I can't tell you how I started interacting with you, except for that, I heard him on Concede, and then eventually we started being buddies, That's interesting. Yeah. Anyway, I just thought that was a fun little thing to ask you, since you probably host my favorite Hearthstone podcast out there, Concede. But Wild, you're here to talk about Wild, and I love it because you weren't much of a Wild player in the past until in the last few months you kind of started playing a little more Wild. You're still a standard main, I'd say, but anyway, tell us a little bit about how you got into Wild.
So, honestly, I was playing a bit more Hearthstone, and I had gotten Legend pretty early in Standard. And there was a factor of two things. I think I was like rank 1-ish or 2-ish at the time in Standard. I didn't want to ladder my main account because I might have been a little drunk. And I might have just not wanted to, after a few beers, really wanted to tank that rank while I was tanked. And also, the great EK designer, who many of you know, or EK plays cards, also posted a really fun-looking Reno Quest Dragon Mage list that Cream Puff had assembled. And I know there were a bunch of variations at the time, but the one I picked up was the Cream Puff one. And I know KP from years back from Top Deck Kings and all that. And I took this Reno Quest Dragon Mage, and I was rank 20 in Wild. And I started playing it, and I didn't lose a game until I hit rank 5.
That's ridiculous. That's just absolutely...
It was insane. It was bonkers. And some of them were crazy top decks. Like, I don't want to give the impression that this was pure play skill driven. There were a bunch of boards where there was nothing I could do until I top decked the poof, and then I poofed like a bunch of grave runed Vargoths or whatever. There were some fortunate draws, but at the time when people weren't running as much pure Cyclone Mage, it was a lot easier to stretch out the game in Vargoth and Time Warp, which is a known good interaction. And it felt like it had the possibility to answer everything. So I enjoyed that. I used that to get up to rank 4. I started facing more resistance then. So I switched to Alaneth Mage, which we all know and love. Got to Legend in a day and a half from there. The following month, I was laddering with all sorts of stuff, and then I ended up picking up Cyclone Mage because I wanted to see it in action, and it was really good, and I hit Legend with that. And then this month, I hit Legend in Standard on the 3rd because the new ladder system and because COVID-19, I was home and I was playing a lot, and I wanted to hit Legend before the new set came out. So I did that, and I was like, all right, well, let's do some wild stuff. And I ended up getting there with Discard Zoo, I think a couple of weeks ago.
Nice. Yeah, it was about that now, right? It's so crazy. What do you think? Like, I know I heard a little bit about your thoughts on the ladder system being changed, but I'd like to ask you to kind of reframe that for our listeners. What do you think about the ladder, the new ladder?
As in the system?
Yes, not the meta, the system.
I think it is a large net positive for the game because it gets people to log in and play more every month. It is not perfect. I think the X10 versus X11 multiplier is not transparent enough, and the X11 multiplier is too beneficial. But at the same time, we have never experienced the system in an environment where people have demands on their time consistently because COVID-19. So we don't have a good baseline perspective. And it indicates to me that people are going to be logging in for incremental progression and unlocking rewards and just playing more Hearthstone because of the system. It also dramatically reduces, if not eliminates, ladder anxiety. It's better.
Yeah.
It's just an improvement. It's not universal, but it is enough improvement in so many places that I don't really think we could ever go back to how it was. The old system feels so outdated now.
I basically agree with everything that you just said. For the ladder anxiety issue has helped me tremendously. Because I get it. I mean, I still get it, and I don't know why, but I really like it, not being able to see the rank of my opponent. And it's bizarre because after hitting Legend, I mean, I did the same thing where I hit Legend on day 4, and then I'm queuing into all kinds of people. And I think if I would, especially with the new MMR system, like sometimes it's a Legend player, sometimes it's a Diamond player, sometimes it's a Gold player or whatever, and I don't know. It's just kind of weird. Like, I liked not seeing the rank. It helped me a lot.
Yeah, I don't mind them having the 11-star multiplier. I understand that it's really easy, but at the same time, I feel like those players kind of should just like if you could reset in Legend, it would almost make sense. Like how good they are. Like they don't. It's not an accomplishment for them to get to Legend, so I don't mind them getting to Legend quickly. I guess I can understand that people still want to grind a little bit, but for those players, I don't mind it. And then the transparency is the big thing, right? Like you said, it frustrates people that they don't get 11 stars, I guess, as well. But I really liked it, and I love the floor being only 15 games away now.
Yeah,
I think it makes a big difference.
Wait, how many stars did you get?
I was 10x in both Standard and Wild.
Okay.
And for what it's worth, I think the climb has value even if you were a consistent legend player. In the old system, it was kind of a mark of pride for how quickly people could get there. A lot of like day one legends or whatever. The people getting 11x are already like the high performers, and so if you don't need to give the high performers an edge if they're already high performers. Let them be better through their gameplay. Let them get there faster and let them display it as a badge of pride. They don't need help being really good, and giving them a multiplier to get them out of the pool almost. It makes just those first few days feel like a weird blur that doesn't matter, and I think that isn't necessary. Like,
yeah.
I don't need Burnt to have an 11 stars to know that he's going to smash me with Druid if I play him. He can do that with 10 stars just fine.
Yeah, I never thought about the first to legend climb. Like, that is a really good point, because some guys will never hit rank 1 legend without being able to jam those games. And now some of those guys aren't able to now, because if they're to rank 10 stars, you're not going to beat someone who is 11 stars. So that makes good sense. I just wanted to get. I like that there's so much, and we don't know yet about how this is working because of COVID and all that. So it is cool. Overall, net positive. Let's move on. That was a long tangent on that.
Hey, can I ask you? So you always say on your show, right? Reporting live from Gadgetan, New York, right? So how is it in New York these days?
I can tell you how it is in my apartment.
When was the last time you left your apartment?
I took the trash out yesterday.
Yeah, you guys are taking it more seriously than almost anywhere in the States, it seems like, from what I can see, which is probably good.
Like, it's there. I live in the outskirts of New York City. I'm not in Manhattan or whatever. But like, people ask me how it is sometimes. I'm staying home, so I have no idea. Every time I go outside, the only real places to walk, like there's a few residential streets near here, and then I can walk in front of a bunch of closed, shuttered businesses, which is super depressing. We have a treadmill at home, and that's enough to stay busy. I play Beat Saber sometimes because I used to work in VR and I have an Oculus, so I don't need to go outside to be active. And going outside just kind of a grief for the world that was, because it's not the world that we have right now. Staying inside is just fine. It's safer.
It helps to be a gamer too. Let's be honest.
Yes.
Right?
We've been training for this. But yeah, that's it. Anyway, before we keep moving on, I think that everyone knows who you are and stuff. I want to give a big shout out to our patrons. We got Pug Ugly holding it down, Shokunin. You guys are incredible. Like, it's insane how much you're giving us. We appreciate it. And of course, Mezzy Crochet, our newest patron. Thank you so much. We didn't get any more this week, Nate.
No, that's it for now. But thank you guys so very much. It's a huge help, and it's actually enabling us to do some stuff on the back end as far as trying to work on some merch. I'm working with some artists to come up with some designs and stuff that are exclusive for our show, some merch, and maybe trying to do some patron exclusive items as well. So it's very exciting. I've been working on that over the past week or two, and it's been exciting.
Really appreciate it. So. You have a markdown that we're going to say thank you over some YouTube comment. Nate, want to go into that?
I just love this. I mean, we launched the YouTube. So when we first started the show back up, I say back up because it was. This almost feels like an extension of what we were doing before, but we talked about doing the show live on Twitch, recording videos for YouTube, kind of jammed it all together real quick and posting all the videos live. I mean, primarily this is a podcast. I still consider it a podcast, but now it's got this whole separate YouTube component, and it's been fun. We've got a bunch of stuff up there, but this is the first time that we really got like a comment that like made my eyes like tear up a little bit. So I was just excited. So John Sukalos, I'm probably butchered your name, I'm sorry. But he said, hey, you guys rock. Keep up the great content. I've been listening since Into the Wild episode 1. I'm here to say hi from after listening to this episode. With Tier 5 gone and Into the Wild hiatus, you guys are the only wild option. Keep it going strong. And also said, glad you guys are enjoying it. The positivity is great. I didn't realize how much I missed you guys until after you left. The new Into the Wild was good, but don't get me wrong, it wasn't the same. So it's just right here. Thank you very much.
That's really nice.
Isn't it? I mean, we don't interact. I think that, we always say, hey, you can shoot us a DM. You can, you can chat with you, or you can email the show or whatever. We like the actual interactions that we get are very, very, very little. So seeing something like that, it means a lot. I think that what we're doing is making somebody happy, which makes me happy. So
exactly, that's why we have Hat here, because he makes everyone happy.
Well, thank you. We should also shout out, I think, as far as Wild podcast, it's really just you guys and the Hearthstoners now.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. The Hearthstoners are awesome. We had Gold Daniel on last week, and it was a blast. I think we had so much fun, and I do want to shout them out. They've got a really fun show, and we need to be on it. Cough, cough.
He promised he'd have us on soon. So if not, we're gonna have to get back at him one day. Anyway, and then we have some celebrations for more wild first time legends. Nate, you want to take those?
Yeah. So and I love doing this. And for those of you watching or listening, like if you hit Wild Legend for the first time, please like add us or reach out to us or whatever. Like I'm trying to catch these as I see them, but would love to give people a shout out. Like the more people that are playing the format, the better. So especially this dude right here, Swagwar. I know he'd been trying hard for quite a while, and to see that he made it just was very, very cool. So congrats to Swagwar. And then a couple other people that I saw, but I don't know who they are. Space Maker, congrats on Wild Legend. Buella. Yeah. Congratulations. Headfish, congrats on Wild Legend. And this is a standard legend, but this is our homie, so I have to say hello and a big shout out to Forrest Bates, who we've been friends with for a long, long time. I was very excited to see, especially when I think people have been playing for 3-4 years or more. The hit legend is just such an amazing feeling. I mean, at least for me, like it does not get old to see that little orange hexagon next to your name. Is just a beautiful thing. So congratulations, you guys. And yes, please tag us if you hit. That's very cool.
Yeah, we're gonna steal it from Forrest, that's so awesome, Forrest. And maybe we'll steal it from Hearth Coach and put you in our Hall of Legends if since those guys are gone now.
There you go.
But yeah, that's huge. It's so nice to see people climb and make it up. I can say I played for a couple of years before hitting Legend, and it was the biggest accomplishment in the world. My girlfriend looked at me like I was crazy because I was so happy about a video game. But that was literally one of the happiest days of my life.
It was so good. It was so crazy when I did it for the first time, and I remember Craig like called me right after. He's like, I need to record your reaction to this while you're still in that like high zone. And it was awesome.
So no.
I mean, how? Feel good, so, Hat, you don't count because you've been hitting Legend.
But like,
you've been hitting Legend every single
feeling, right?
Isn't it though? Well, let me ask you, because you do it like every month for years, right? How does it ever get old?
So I mean, life in a lot of ways is about like setting goals for yourself and hitting them. And even if hitting Legend is something I have done before, it is something I still want to do. And on the flip side, you know that if you've hit Legend a bunch of times and then you have a month where it's tough, it's like, do I even remember how to play the game anymore? Am I any good? Am I washed up? Was I just lucky that one time? Setting a goal and being unable to hit it sucks. And setting a goal and being able to hit it is kind of an internal validation at the very least, if not like exuberance when you really break through what you think is a skill plateau. The first time you hit Legend is obviously an amazing thing. I think the best time, my favorite, it's a lot like Arrested Development, where the first time a lot happens and it's kind of overwhelming, but the best time is like the fourth time when you know what's going to happen. When it feels like really like not predictable, but you set an expectation for yourself and you're like, okay, it wasn't a fluke. About the fourth time, it's like, it's not a fluke.
That's what she said.
I'm
sorry. I mean,
yes. If I had the power to hang up on you, I would.
I've been watching The Office lately. I'm sorry.
Yes. It's okay. You left me smiling satisfied.
That's awesome.
So
we still have some housekeeping to get through here. Nate, I'm happy no one makes you laugh more than you.
Jesus. All right, I'm done. The show's over.
Yeah. So we have a year of the Dragon bundle giveaway.
Yeah, I want to give one of these away. We've been I'm not quite sure what to do to give them away, but I would love to give it away to a listener as opposed to somebody who retweeted one of our tweets online, like to someone who...
I think I figured it out.
Okay.
I think I figured out. Whoever comes up with the best giveaway idea, you win. So tweet us or email us your favorite giveaway idea, and then if we like it, we'll use it for the next giveaway, and you'll win this giveaway. How's that sound?
Hey, there you go.
I think it's like a little inception too. I really like that. So any listeners that want, tweet us your idea for a giveaway, and we will pick out of the best answers, and you'll get the Year of the Dragon bundle. That's what, 30 packs?
45.
It's 45.
45. Wow.
It's actually a very good deal for $30 US.
Yeah. Wow. It's incredible. That's a really good. That's better than the than just buying your 40 packs, right? Like, that's awesome.
So the deal is great. Like, even when they did the Mage bundle a while back, it sucked. Like, the value was not good. It was still, I don't know, the same price as a normal pack or whatever. But 45 packs for $30 is ridiculous.
Ridiculous hat.
Yes.
No, it's this. These are packs.
Oh, packs.
Ridiculous packs.
Yes.
But I would love to do a giveaway and but even for those of us who have all the cards, don't need a bunch of stuff, like the value is so good that it's hard to pass up. So
the dust alone would be pretty good value.
Anyways, email us or tweet us or whatever your ideas, and we'll add you to our list. The deadline is May the 4th. But
is that when the bundle goes away?
That is the last day to purchase, I believe. So, but if we're not friends, you can only gift stuff if you're friends, and you need to be friends minimum 3 days before you can gift something. So, I want to try to do the giveaway maybe next week or something.
Yeah, let's say end of April. You have until the end of April.
Yeah, maybe. If we give, let's see.
Just tweet us with it before the end of April, okay, guys? And
I'd like to announce the winner on next week's show.
Okay, well then before next Friday. So
before next Friday. Yeah, this show will be live either later today or first thing tomorrow morning.
So I've got good news. The end of April is next Thursday. So you were right the first time.
So end of April, Nate.
All right.
Yeah.
All right,
hey,
very cool.
If I'm not on Twitter, guys, could I maybe bring it up in your Discord that you can mention right now, and then maybe we can enter there too and hang out with
people? Hey, since you're the expert in this stuff, how do we get a custom Discord name? Because I had one way back when. It was discord.gg.intothewild, but we can't do that anymore apparently. And
do you have a website?
No.
Oh,
we
got a website. It's just a subdomain. We just link discord.concede.com to which you can visit and hang out with us and talk lots of formats, including standard and wild, and look over replays with lots of other like-minded players. We just took our Coin Concede website and then made a subdomain that redirected to a permanent invite link.
Okay, so for now, just go on our Twitter, tweet us, email us. We have the Discord up in there too, so if you want to join the Discord, you can click the link on our Twitter and come check it out. And yeah, again, just give us your idea for a giveaway. It can be silly, it can be real. But we're gonna pick the one that we pick to use next time is the way to win. So put some thought into it, and you can get an extra 45 packs for literally one little idea. So I like that. So. There we go. End of April. That's your last day to enter. So, works for you guys?
Yeah. And you know what? I
don't even work here. I'm not even supposed to.
I've got all of our contact info and stuff as our pinned tweet. I'll do a new one and I'll add I do have a permanent invite open for the Discord. So
perfect, Nate. So check the Twitter and then you guys can enter like that.
Yeah.
So we have some wild tournaments as well right now. With I haven't seen all of these, Nate. Like, do you have the details on them?
So they're not. I don't have a ton of details. Solem is starting one, but he has. If you go to his website, he's got a little questionnaire to fill out first, which takes about 2 seconds. It's just in regard to
format and whatnot, logistics.
Yeah.
Cool. So check out Solem's tournament. You can see.
And he's talking about bans and stuff as well. Would you like any banned cards? Would you like any special rules? I think it's going to be next weekend, but if you go to Solemn's Twitter, you can read all about it and see how to sign up and everything. I think the one that I'm really, really excited for, actually, though, is Jonah. JonahRah, aka Jonah Miles, is doing his own, and I believe that is next weekend as well. There are links on his Twitter as well. So if you go to @JonahRah, JonahRahHS, you can find out about his. It's essentially a substitute for the Wild Open, which they still have not announced isn't happening, but it's not happening. So Jonah's doing one. He's an awesome player. I don't think he's super active on social media these days, but he's on my friends list, and he's like top 10 Wild Legend right now. So no real surprise, but that's exciting. And I think I know people are always looking for Wild tournaments to play in, so I just wanted to shout these two out if you guys are interested.
Yeah, and speaking of Wild tournaments to play in, we're going to be playing in THL, Team Hearth League, which they're doing their first...
Team Hearth Legends. Team Hearth Legends.
Oh my god, I did it again. I literally
just remember, all right, the easy way to remember, that word that you just said is illegal.
Team Hearth Legends.
Illegal. Yes.
I swear in my head I said you have to say Legends, and then I read it the way that we had it written down. But Team Hearth Legends, which I love, it used to be called Team Hearth League, but you're not allowed to do that anymore. They're awesome, and this is their first foray into Wild. Like they did a little test run a couple weeks ago, and now they're doing a full-on team league for Wild that me and Nate and Danny Donuts are participating for our team, which is pretty great team. And there's a couple other stacked teams, and then a lot of other players who are enthusiastic to play. And you obviously know more than me because you are the commissioner of THL. Would you say that, like, if this tournament goes off pretty well, like that, we'll be seeing more Legends like this Wild themed in the future? So,
for vernacular, THL is an organization called Team Hearth Legends. We run league format series. The Wild series, the season alpha, so far has had a far greater response than we were expecting. There's a lot of demand for Wild play, and a ton of high-level players and known personalities in the scene have joined up, and we were really blown away by how many people were looking for something like this. So unless there's a massive drop-off from season alpha to season beta, I would expect us to do more of this. It may even grow to 5-player teams next season, depending on how it goes. All of our other series use 5-player, but 3-player, we were testing it out. Just wanted to make sure that people could talk to 3 friends, say, hey, we all want to play together. Let's just make a team right now. So we didn't have captains looking for players and couldn't put them together. But so far, I would be surprised if this was a one-off, just because it's already had such a crazy response. I think it'll be pretty fun.
Yeah, I watched the reveal stream, but I don't recall all of the names. I know I saw some of our buddies. Matt at Arms is playing. Mike Lowe is playing. Who else?
Memnarch's playing. Bananaramic. I think is Jonah in the league as well. I think he is.
Organization series.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
You're fired, Craig.
So I posted all the teams here, but we have a bunch of really awesome teams. The Born to Be Wild team I think is great. Craig, Nate, and Danny Donuts. The Biters has 9 Eyebrows, who I think is pretty well known, as well as Number Theory and Base Ink. The Power Creeps looks awesome. Posca, Jack, and Memnarch. That's a spicy team right there. Let's see. I'm on a team with Bill Snyder and A2 Battleship, mostly standard players, but I think we'll dip in just fine. Let's see. Worst case scenario has the return of Mentalistic, along with Robot Chicken and Snake Fods, with Disco as the captain.
Wow. All right.
Yep. Detroit versus everybody. Matt at Arms, Duin, and MTG Squirrel. I think we know
Duin
all those names.
Yeah. Oh my God, you guys, that's so fun. Right? It's all our cool friends.
The Wild THL fanatics, Dr. Bomb D, Mike Lowe, and Electric Sheep City. So we all know ESC and Mike Lowe, and Doc is a great guy. Let's see. Gonna Be Rich, Blase Blase, The Word, and Trey. We have so many people that we know that have really just come out for the first effort that we're making here. We're really happy to see the responses like this.
Yeah. Oh, and it's so many friends playing too. Like, I love the idea of playing against people that we know. I mean, I think the Wild scene or community or whatever you want to call it is relatively small, and so playing against friends is At least in my mind, it's more fun than playing against like some rando from the internet. So I'm excited.
I mean, my favorite part of the Wild community is it feels like a party that never shuts down. It just goes to somebody else's house. Like when you're watching a stream, like if you're watching Rotted Zombie, and then we jump over to Yada, and then we go over to Concerned Mom's house late at night, and then maybe Burnt kicks on a stream at 4 a.m. or whatever. It's you see the same people going to different places, and everybody seems to know each other, and it's a really welcoming and positive culture. There's always like, who can I raid that's playing Wild? Who can we hang out with that's playing Wild? How can we boost visibility to this format? And how can we support our friends? And anyone that's playing Wild is suddenly a new friend. Like Cream Puff just started streaming again, like, I don't know, like a week and a half ago, I think.
Yeah.
But like the support was immediate and getting tons of retweets, and he already has golden demon hunter because that guy is insane. That guy is crazy.
He's been streaming every day. It's been fun though. He is
for like hours and hours. But it's when people are looking for that support and that engagement connection with the community, Wild delivers. It's always there. And so on the one hand, I'm pleasantly surprised to see this kind of reaction to THL running a Wild series. On the other hand, I'm not surprised given what I've seen.
Yeah.
Beauty. Yeah, so I'm excited. It'll be back. It'll be back for sure.
I think COVID has been very good for the game, actually.
Well, but there are ups and downs to that, because also people have a lot of negative feelings towards the world inside that they are projecting onto Open the Waygate and other things. Right? A lot of the salt that people like, the sadness and negativity people feel about the world. If we're playing a lot of Hearthstone and that's where we're engaging and sending all this energy, then we're getting a lot of that negative energy back because we have nowhere else to put it.
That's true.
Thank God J Druid's not the boogeyman of the format, because then we'd be getting all upset about two different spreading plagues.
It is still it's Craig's fault. This whole Open the Waygate thing. If you would have told Ixar 10 instead of 8.
Yeah, Ixar was telling me that he wanted to nerf the card to cost 10 mana, the quest reward. And I said, nah, just add 2 spells to make the quest trigger. And he's like, you know what? That might be better. Oh, my bad. If you stick around to the end of the show, you'll hear my song. I made another song pleading for Quest Mage to maybe get another touch. Like, it's definitely better, but we'll get into that more later. Actually, we can do that right now. Maybe we should just talk about the nerfs and how they've affected Wild, not Standard. We can maybe touch a little on Standard.
For sure. I wanted to.
We can talk about Wild.
I wanted to ask about HSReplay a little bit, but we can do it later if you want. It's not a big deal. I just have some questions and figured I'd ask them here. But we can talk about the nerfs. Let's talk about the nerfs.
Nerfs.
Okay. And
Blood Bloom
and the one buff, right?
Oh yeah.
Libram of Justice got reduced down to 5.
Are you sure?
So that actually, I was playing with, you all know Hailung. I was playing with Hailung, who has, we were co-oping, and he has a sweet Wild Libram Paladin deck.
Yes.
And we did play a 5-mana Libram of Justice on curve to kill an Arcane Giant, while our opponent had their quest on 6 out of 8 ticks. Ooh. So I just want to say, if you're only looking at the Mage nerf to balance the format, you also have to take into account that Libram of Justice is single-handedly holding the format together on 5.
It's very important. It's like Shrink Ray, but better.
Yeah. It's power creep over Shrink Ray. Blizzard OP, please nerf.
Yeah.
I actually I do like in not that Paladin is a whole lot of a big thing in Wild, but I like the idea Libram of Justice fits in well with some of the other board clear options with what is it, Pyromancer and some other stuff. So it's fun. I actually like the card. So anyhow,
yeah.
Have you guys noticed any big changes or interactions in the meta over the last week with these new cards? Carl costs 1 more. Fellwing has 1 less health.
I think Blood Bloom's the big one. Like, that's definitely the biggest change. We're not seeing Darkest Hour anymore. If you are seeing Darkest Hour, then they're doing it wrong. And like, a fun thing about Blood Bloom is that it actually showed once they nerfed Blood Bloom, people started to discover Mechathune again, and that Mechathune's actually better now. Not that anything was holding it back before. It's just people weren't really experimenting with it because we always had Blood Bloom Cataclysm. But as it turns out, Dollmaster Dorian with Plot Twist, a cheap spell, and Kale makes it so that you can get your Mechathune combo off on as early as turn 7, or turn 7 with the coin, turn 8 without the coin, you can actually go off and win the game.
You hem it, or what do you do?
Yes. Yeah, you need Hemet, but Hemet, like playing Mechathune right now, if you have Hemet in your opening hand, it feels like you're cheating because you play Hemet on turn 6, and then if you have the coin still, you can win the game on turn 7, and if you don't have the coin, then you can win the game on turn 8. Not every time, but it's a huge high roll. And then the deck itself is fine. Like, it doesn't do so good against Demon Hunter or and Quest Mage. It can beat Quest Mage if you draw the nuts, if you draw Hemet and Plot Twist early, but you're not always going to. But it is just interesting to see that a card that got nerfed made a deck better, even though the deck was already there, and just no one was experimenting with it, which is a huge, great thing about the nerf. But I think Blood Bloom's the best nerf that they did, and for a while out of the two, and then Quest Mage obviously didn't change too much. I don't know what you guys think about the Quest Mage nerf. I was optimistic, and I feel like I was proven a little wrong on that one. Hat?
So, gonna start by saying, I primarily play Standard. I touched on Wild. I hit Legend in it every month, but I am not a high Legend grinder. I am not a lifelong Wild player. I don't have a lot of perspective on it. I can give you what I've experienced in my limited time with it. Please don't take this as gospel. And if you see tweets from the people that know the format, from Jack, from Memnarch, from the people that are grinding top 10 Legend every single month, those are the people that I would listen to and make sure that you're aware of their perspective. With that being said, this is a combo-heavy format, primarily defined by Cyclone Mage, and that hasn't changed. Cyclone Mage is still very, very good. They made it worse with the Quest nerf, and it did matter, except they also printed Evocation a week and a half before. And you can't print Evocation and then expect a number of spells tick to matter, because you are unbound with how many spells you can play.
Especially in WoW, there's so many cheap spells. I mean...
Yeah. The Cyclone Mage, as it currently stands, will not be stopped unless you make the quest reward far beyond unplayable. It would have to be, I think, 9 would be the number where you actually make a dent. Or unless you do the obvious Sorcerer's Apprentice nerf.
Or
the Sorcerer's Apprentice nerf is what the deck needs. It also impacts Standard, and I don't know if Blizzard's going to do it. But if it says can't cost less than 1, that is the dramatic change the deck needs.
There's also the other option of the quest reward changes to 5 mana. Your charge minions have +1 attack. That's Warsong Commander it.
Yes, the soul of the card would remain intact, still a 5 mana spell.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the engine of the deck is cards that care about number of spells, cost reducers, and a critical mass of 1 mana spells that isn't present in Standard and is present in Wild. You cannot fix that deck without breaking the engine. Like, in order to make it healthier, you have to break that engine. And right now, the limit of spells you have to play is not enough to hold the deck in check when the result is still so powerful.
Yeah, I mean...
I wonder... Go ahead, Nate.
I was just going to say, I mean, I would have thought that, and I don't want to dump on the devs, I really do not, but I think that over the years we have seen that things that cost less than 1 mana are problematic. Like, free spells, free minions, I don't know. That just seems like an issue. I don't know. I mean, I can't
but
complain.
Not everything, right? Not everything. It's when they reverted the nerf to Molten Giant. Didn't break anything. That card is free a lot. You don't break anything with Molten Giant. When you play Anubisath Defender, you don't break anything. The question is, when do my cards cost 0? How many of them cost 0? And what do I get for it? Druid will Ironbark and Bogbeam. The reason those cards are any good is because Kael'thas makes other cards cost 0. But in Mage, you get an extra turn and a full board for nothing.
Yeah, and if the Giant said cannot cost less than 1, the deck would still be good. It's in particular, it's the Sorcerer's Apprentice. It does seem like stuff that consistently makes stuff cost 0 is pretty much been a problem, like Mech Warper, well, MechWarper's the big one. That
Well,
I
the
can
whole
think of
snip
was
snap. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
like,
do have to. I have to say, in defense of Sorcerer's Apprentice, though, like I'm a huge fan of Exodia Mage, and I don't think that. I mean, it just that deck requires a lot to actually go off. Versus, like, I mean, I played Quest Mage to Diamond 1 and then switched over to Memnarch's Reno Priest to hit Legend, but like that's all I played to Diamond 1, and like the deck is just bananas.
I hope that they just nerf the shit out of this card. just one more. Like, it's okay. They've showed people that they will, right? Like with the Quest Rogue.
Your opponent takes an extra turn.
Well, yeah, but
They could make it the Temporis text. There are many ways to adjust it. The question is, what do they want the format to look like? Like, the issues with Wild are larger than this card. The issues with Wild, and it's still a fun format. My main issue with Wild, as someone with an external perspective, is that what Wild was meant to be was not communicated to players until Wild has existed as a format for multiple years.
Yeah.
Because, like, Ixar came out and said, Wild is not a format we're going to curate regularly. It's going to be really powerful, going to be a combo format. And if that was the case when they made Wild, sure. But now players have been invested in the format for years, and they have a new expectation of what to expect from the developers that was not set before, and they have to make a decision about their continued engagement with the format. And at this point, it's just alignment of your expectations. Do you want to play a combo format or not? But the people that didn't know they were getting into that years ago, that are now like, that are part of the Wild community that have to make a decision, am I going to deal with combo the rest of my life, or am I going to do something else? They now have to make that choice without prior information from the developers. And Wild inherently is going to have every card legal, because the reason Wild exists is so Standard can exist, right? Not saying that Wild doesn't have value. Wild absolutely has value. But the reason Wild exists is so that if Blizzard gives you a card and you want to keep playing with it forever, you have a place to do it. Not
Right.
because they want to make two formats, because they want to make a rotating format, and that means you have to have a non-rotating format. So their goal with Wild is every card that you have is as close to the version as we made it when it rotates out of Standard, or just forever, for as long as possible. That is the purpose for the business. And that means they probably are okay with Wild being a combo format, because the more cards they release, the more powerful it's going to get. And if it's not Cyclone Mage, it's going to be something else.
I would love a ban list. Like, I don't think that, I know that it goes against what Wild is supposed to be a little bit, but at the same time, like, would it be that bad to, like, here and there, like right now is the perfect example of, they said, okay guys, you can no longer use Open the Waygate. We're sorry. We're deleting it from your, like, not deleting it, but you know, like, it's, no, I'm not totally joking. Like,
No, I understand. Yeah, but
yeah, they ban it. They replace your dust. If you kept the card, you get the 1600 dust. And sorry guys, this is out, and maybe it'll be back one day. Like, they could always say that, right? Like the way Magic does. And I think that would make most people happy. Like, you're probably going to get a few people that are really upset, but I think most people would be okay if they only did it in like emergency situations type of deal. And then, I don't know, maybe that's too much to ask, but I think that's a possibility.
here's my thought though, because they had just announced that they're working on a new game mode, and as part of that, they said, "Hey, keep your wild cards because you'll be able to use them in this new game mode to some extent, but we don't want to talk about it more right now." So I almost feel like what probably will happen, and of course this is just wild speculation, but is that is that wild as a whole will continue kind of like the Wild West or whatever, uncurated, right? And then Standard will exist, and I understand the purpose for Standard is to have an annual rotation or whatever. And then maybe we have this other format as kind of an in-between, and that's probably where you would see your banned cards or your funky rules or whatever.
If that's what it is. Like, that could be a PvE experience. No one knows what that format's going to be, right? So it's hard to say.
Danny Donuts probably knows.
Yeah, I mean, it remains to be seen, but the hardest thing to accept is the idea that Blizzard wants the format this way.
It is hard.
They probably want it this way. Like, they're not going to delete a card from a format, because the whole reason this format exists is so that every card they print can be cast in a game of Hearthstone.
Yeah.
So Blizzard probably wants the format to be pretty close to where it is. Now, is it balanced right now? No. Do they intend to regularly curate it? No, they explicitly said as much. They didn't give us that warning years ago. They gave us that on Twitter from an Ixar post a few months ago.
Yeah.
But if Blizzard wants the format to be this way, what do people that are playing it do? And that's a personal decision.
Yeah. Well, and I have to give them credit because they have been more responsive now than they have ever been in the past. Like, before it was like, okay, well, here's a new round of standard nerfs and Wild got nothing. And so this, I have to give them lots and lots of credit for, they have mentioned recently in the past that lots of the devs and lots of the, the folks who work on the game are on Twitter. They like getting the feedback as long as it can be constructive, which I appreciate. But they are listening, and I know for sure that Ixar plays Wild. I mean, and so I appreciate that. And a part of me wonders, and I think that probably Memnarch and some other folks may disagree with me, but I wonder how much of this is a sort of confirmation bias that, like, when I play against Quest Mage, it feels bad, but like, how many games am I actually queuing into Quest Mage? Like, I do think that it has, like, I wonder, like, when I started playing at the beginning of this month, I was seeing like a 40% Mage, but like, now that I'm playing on the Legend ladder, I'm not seeing nearly that much. So I don't know.
Oh, I think it's still there a lot on the climb up. People are still seeing a ton of it.
I think Memnarch said earlier that 8 of the top 10 players are rocking Quest Mage.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Wild is a small community, all things considered.
That's true.
And for a lot of people, it might be a secondary mode. I don't think there is any question that Cyclone Mage is likely inherently unhealthy for the format, either in terms of win rate in the hands of skilled players or in the turn of play experience. And I think the play experience is very poor.
And I can add that China right now, Quest Mage isn't even like the craziest thing in the world there. Danny was talking to a couple of Chinese players the other day, and it came up that I forget what it was in their meta, but their meta Quest Mage isn't even like the big boogeyman. Like, they have other decks, and their Quest Mage is built a lot different than ours. They're still running Research Project and Cold Light Oracles, so it kind of does go to show that Wild is the unrefined format. And I'm sure there is more decks out there that a lot of us aren't looking at. Like, it's hard to say with Quest Mage being as good as it is, because I think the problem is that Quest Mage auto wins a lot of games, and but I don't know. I hope maybe they'll print a couple cards that help deal with this stuff. I don't know, but either way, I still love the format. It's as frustrating as it can be from time to time. And if you really, I don't know, you have to deal with it. You have to figure it out. And if you don't like it, play standard or quit the game, I guess, and wait it out a little bit. So
let me throw out this hot take, though. Someone posted this online, and I can't remember who. Maybe chat will know, but someone posted online on Twitter over the last week that they felt that there are probably a handful of at least tier 2 decks that just have not been created or not fully refined yet, and that they just haven't been fleshed out because there's other decks available that are very, very, very good that are already proven, that people are spending more time playing these existing archetypes than spending time deck building new ones. So I think that would be interesting, and I think that that's not necessarily wrong. I mean, the card pool in Wild is so huge, there's got to be something. And
I think people get married to their decks in Wild a lot too. Like, you have Burnt as a Druid player, like that's his go-to. Memnarch is Raza Priest. Goldaniel is Warlock. Yeah, like a lot of people have their pet decks, where in standard people are way more likely to jump around and play literally everything, and there's millions, thousands and thousands and thousands of people crushing the format. HSReplay is loaded with stats, where with Wild you're not going to get that. So I think it's interesting, and I think honestly, if you're looking for balance, you might need to dip your toe into Wild standard a little more, because that's where you're going to find more balance. I know Demon Hunter wants to disagree with everyone, but you will find more balance in standard.
I do think this was.
You'll find. Go ahead.
Well, no, go for it, because I'm going to go off on a tangent. So you go first. Standard,
by the way, is more actively curated. As of right now, it is closer to balance, but there are still a couple significant outliers that you'll see. And Rogue is the one that I would mention over Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter is the one getting all the press right now, but you'll see a lot of Rogue.
Oh, I'm going to have to pick up a standard Rogue list from you, Hat.
Well, Hat Challenge, I've been playing a lot of standard lately. I've hit Diamond 2 3 times already. I'm currently at 4 again, but it's fun. It's definitely different. I dislike losing to random cards that did not start in my opponent's deck and that cost
You
0
play
mana.
wild.
Well, but the wild decks are way more consistent, right? It's not about RNG so much as the same thing every game. Because Mage, like Cyclone Mage, generates a bunch of cards. It doesn't matter what they are, right? They're all just spells that count towards the tick, and they'll draw you cards or free stuff. Like, it does not matter what they are.
Well, and in wild, like, I expect it because the power level is high in every single deck, and it's pretty it's pretty ridiculous the stuff that you can do in wild. But I expect it. I'm familiar with it. I'm ready for it. And I'm happy with it. But in standard, like, oh, cool. Let me get dragons that generate other free dragons that generate more Queen Alexes, or evocations that generate random cards that generate new evocations. And it's like, I don't feel that I lose to the random factor quite as much in wild. Like, I lose to other stuff. There's a lot of decks, I think, that are very, very consistent. I think Secret Mage being one of them, there's a lot of consistency. There's tons of what is the word that I'm looking for? Synergy. Well, no, synergy. There's just the deck works really well, and I think that in wild, we joke about this every time a new set releases, is that all of these 135 new cards that come out, how many are good enough to fit into an existing wild deck? Out of 135 cards, I've got 10 or less probably.
Except this expansion because of Demon Hunter.
Well, yeah. But anyways.
Yeah. So it throws a wrench in it. But yeah, so basically deal with Quest Mage for now.
But no, look at this. So I have it up on the screen, but for those of you who are listening, so Memnarch posted this, and I assume the stats are from HSReplay. I'm not quite sure. But there's a statistic for Open the Way Gate, and it shows, it tracks the popularity and the win rate in the month of April. And once the nerf hit, the deck win rate actually spiked. It's just shy of 62%.
Darkest Hour held it down a lot, right?
I don't know.
Darkest Hour to an extent. The nerf to Demon Hunter cards, like Odd Demon Hunter was, and various Tempo Demon Hunters were also pretty good here. Fellwing, I think the nerf didn't really make a huge impact. But if we're looking over time, and it really depends where you're looking as well, because I'm looking at the card Evocation right now, which is only in Cyclone Mage, because you look at the quests that could actually impact the Reno list, though I do think the Reno list got a little worse. If you look at Evocation as well, the nerfs, I think, went live on the 21st. So the win rate did go up in the 22nd. It's back down today in the 23rd. But yeah, it's the first time that I have seen where a nerf had a relatively immediate positive impact on the card's win rate because the meta adjusted. And it does look like there was a spike on the 22nd yesterday. But the nerf didn't make it worse. We know that for sure. It's either the same or better, and that means something went wrong.
Yeah. I'm hoping that that's the same stats that Blizzard has, because I do think they'll tinker with it again if that's the case, right? Like, there's no way they want to put out a nerf that makes a deck better. So I'm really, really hoping that it's like that for their stats as well, because I do think that Blizzard is pretty good about being like, oh, okay, our bad. Let's make one more little adjustment here, and if not, that's the world we live in, and you're here for a while. That's what we're gonna play.
That's true, and we've seen. I mean, like with the Rogue Quest, the Crystal Caverns, was it, or something like that?
Yeah,
Caverns below into Crystal.
Sorry,
4.
I've been playing too much Hollow Knight.
It's fine. It's okay.
But they nerfed that card several times, right? And so we'll see. I'm still happy that we know that they're watching and they're listening, and that.
What's up, XR?
If you manage your expectations, if you go into Wild expecting Cyclone Mage to be a part of your life and you make peace with it, format's still fun. But if you go into every game against Cyclone Mage saying this shouldn't be happening, you're not going to be happy, right? You're not going to be happy because it's going to happen. If your desires and reality are at odds, that space in between is where people find unhappiness, and you have to either accept what's happening or choose a different reality to experience. You got to pick one.
So where did
you could write a book?
You should.
I don't have the discipline for it.
Fair.
So I think something important about the stats, though, is that you need to look at statistics from a macro level, not like we can look at things on a daily basis. And I don't know, like we joke, right? I used to live in Orange County, California, in the city of Irvine. There, we look at crime reports, right? I work in the criminal justice field, and you look at the FBI reporting numbers, and we see that over this 1 year, that murder increased by 100% in the city of Irvine. It's like, well, yeah, because one person died, and that is a 100% increase from last year. And so we know that stats can be manipulated a little bit. And I guess what I'm saying is, I think I would rather see stats like show me a whole month, or show me 2 months, 3 months, or show me 1,000 games. Like I'm a little bit curious about what does 1 day or a slice in time look like? And maybe I just don't know enough about how HSReplay works or where they're pulling the stats from. So I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm just saying that a lot of times that data can be manipulated a little bit. And so I'm curious to get you guys' perspective on that.
Well, I mean, we have small sample size in Wild, right? See, the thing about Wild, like you were talking about earlier with decks not being refined, Wild is big on verbal history, and like I see a deck, I lose to it, I copy it, I play it, which is how Secret Mage still has so much popularity. It's still a good deck, but it has so much popularity because of people losing to it and saying, I want to do that to other people. So if you look in Standard, there are reports and charts and graphs and deck lists and like data clouds of cards appearing in optimal lists. There's none of that for Wild. No. It's verbal history. It's collection of deck lists. It's I tried this thing, they tried this thing, and the only server with a really sizable Wild population is China, and we don't have a lot of information coming out of there except for random Twitter accounts like CNCat and Glore Magic. So you're just not going to have lists that are quite as optimized. I wouldn't look at the stats for, if I were a developer and looking at Quest Mage, like maybe at the very top, I would look at the play experience. And they have nerfed stuff for play experience before, and losing from 30 because you didn't get to take your turn and all of a sudden they had 24-24 in stats that they didn't at the start of the turn.
Feels good.
That would be the thing I would make not happen anymore. Because if I'm on the receiving end of that, I don't ask, how can I do this? I ask, why am I playing this game? And if you're aware of it, you can normalize it, but it's even beyond data. And I think that we'll see there are going to be spikes on certain days. If we look at Flame Waker, for example, another mage card that's mostly in the Cyclone Quest Mage decks, you're going to have days where Quest Mage wins more than other days because the sample size is so small. You're just going to get that slice of players did really well with Cyclone Mage this day, people tried something else the next day. I don't know. But if you look at how it feels to get time warped and die to 24-24 in Giants, that doesn't need a stat. That's a flat line of I don't like it.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing I think at some point, like I wonder how much we are all at fault for shifting the meta in some regards. Like I think once, and maybe not us in particular, but say you have high legend Wild players, your Zeddy and Slizzle and some of these guys who are playing a lot, have ridiculous win rate with this deck, post this deck on Twitter, and now everybody else starts playing it. Like, at what point does the meta shift because I see that my favorite player or some well-known person is saying, hey, this deck is busted, and now how many other 100 or 1,000 or whatever people are going to try this deck?
Well, that happens for sure. If a big streamer picks up a deck, you're going to see some of it. Like, back in the day, I think it was Control came out with a Patron Warrior, and because Odd Paladin was a thing, and the next day you saw nothing but Patron Warriors and Odd Paladins, and then that died away in like a week. So that's going to happen. But I think either way, guys, the main thing we're trying to say here is you're playing Wild. Know what Hat said it best. You need to know what to expect, and if that's not what you like, then seriously ask yourself, is this the format for me, and do I need a break? And sometimes a couple days or a week break is huge, and then suddenly Quest Mage doesn't feel quite as bad. So just try to stay positive, and I think we should start to move away from the nerf discussion because we're kind of going in circles a little bit.
Speaking of positivity and Secret Mage, can we give another big shout out to Big Debo, because he just hit Platinum 5. So That's super cool.
For reference, Big Debo is my friend who never played Hearthstone. Played Hearthstone like 2 years ago, never got that good, and said, I want to learn how to play Wild. And I said, okay, here's a deck code for Secret Mage, have fun. And he's been rocking it from bronze with like no win streak. I don't think he had a star streak when he started.
Wow. That's a pretty impressive month. Win streak Platinum 5 is strong.
We've been tracking his progress. He's a friend of ours, so that's really fun.
Yeah.
So can I pick your brain a little bit, you guys, about HSReplay Platinum? So I've heard people talking about it forever, and then I know Andrew is
premium, not platinum.
Sorry, premium.
Yes.
Platinum 5, Big Debo.
Yeah, that's right. And then I know Andrew Brown. Andrew is living from the Happy Hearthstone, works with HSReplay, and I keep hearing people talk about it. And I thought, I'll check it out. But I've been using Hearthstone Deck Tracker for years, but just the free version. And I thought, I'll check it out. $5 a month is not bad. But I have no clue what I've gotten myself into as far as like what are the perks and is it worth it? And do you guys use this at all?
I'll take a shot at it first. I would say if you're a Wild player, premium. If you're using it specifically for Wild, I don't think premium is going to be too much of a help for you. I like premium for it's just so much statistics for when you're playing standard, like the top tier decks. You can really see matchups, and there's just so many different things. You can plug in 2 different decks and see how they go against each other and whatnot. But with Wild, I don't think it's as good. Like, I don't think it's going to do as much for you, but that's really all I have to answer. And I think, do you know a little more about HSReplay?
I mean, I use it a lot, and I have HSReplay Premium, and I'm a big fan of it. Keep in mind that for Wild, you don't have a meta tab. You really only have decks, so it's a lot harder to see overall performance of a deck. But the Premium has a lot of upside now, especially, unfortunately, they actually kind of nerfed the free side. It used to be up to rank 5, where you could filter, and now you can only go up to gold, which is the equivalent of the old rank 15. So you're going to get a little bit different data if you use the free version. The paid version, you can go all the way up to, you can do top 1000 legend, you can do, or I guess in Wild it would be, there is a top 1000 filter that's a little bit less useful on NA, but you can do legend filter, diamond 4 to 1, diamond through legend, platinum, all those stuff. Current season, the last 3 days, last 7 days, you can pick what you want to look at. A lot of what I'll do is, for standard at least, I will look at the meta tab a lot to see what decks are performing. For Wild, you can look at specific decks. Like if I look last 3 days and top 1000 legend, and you don't want to just sort by win rate. I usually will sort by game count, just because you really want to make sure that you're seeing decks that have enough data behind them, as opposed to someone that went like 100 games overall. It's still a very, very small sample size. And what you can do if you look, say, in Wild, top 1000 legend, last 3 days, there are 2 decks that show up. There's Solem Mage, and there's Tempo Pirate Demon Hunter. So, if we say, for example, let's look at...
It's because the Demon Hunter counters the Cyclone Mage.
It's trying to. So let's take a look if we take a look at the... I can share my screen. I can do that.
Ooh.
Wow, this is getting fancy.
We'll try it. I don't know if it'll crop correctly, but I can at least try and share my screen. So we'll try and do it. It's going to show up instead of my face.
Aw. I love your face.
So, but you all can see this in Discord at the very least, right? So if I usually will sort by mulligan win rate. Don't use played win rate ever. It's a terrible stat. But you can actually look at your mulligan win rate here and sort the best card to keep in your mulligan as of right now. The top 3, Questing Explorer, Evocation, Primordial Glyph. Now what's interesting, you look at the mulligan keep rates. People always keep Questing Explorer. Evocation, they keep 2/3 of the time. Primordial Glyph, people keep 20% of the time. But when they keep it, in top 1000 legend, they win 63% of the time, way above the deck's average.
Great against aggro.
People are often underkeeping Primordial Glyph, whereas if we scroll down to the worst cards in the list, right? Cards that people are keeping a lot, and they're going to be a little bit below average. So like Violet Spellwing, people are keeping it 46% of the time. It's actually one of the worst mulligans in the deck. Now, that's overall, not always. Going first, it's a little different on the coin, right? Evocation's better. Book of Specters way better. Cards that are way worse. Look down here. Sorcerer's Apprentice going first. The third worst card to keep in the mulligan.
Any of the giants?
The giants are bad, but Sorcerer's Apprentice is actually a worse keep than Arcane Giant on average. Now we can sort by matchup.
Wow.
Say you're against a Demon Hunter, right? We don't have a lot of data here. You're against a Demon Hunter going first. You never keep AI. You never keep Sorcerer's Apprentice. You don't keep Stargazer Luna. You don't even keep Questing Explorer, right? And that's really interesting because people keep it 100% of the time, but they're only winning about half their games. Now, small sample size, but if you take away Demon Hunter, it is the second best card in the deck. Against Demon Hunter, Questing Explorer on 2, not very good. You're looking for Evocation, Primordial Glyph, Magic Trick, Ray of Frost, and Violet Spellwing jumps way up in this matchup.
You need removal.
Way up.
Yeah.
And you're looking for early nut draws, right? You're not looking for your normal draw. Plan A is bad against Demon Hunter because they pressured you so much. You're looking for your nut draws early on. If you're on the coin, that's when your 2-drops get better because you can coin them out on turn 1. Right? You coin them out on turn 1, it's a lot better. Book of Specters becomes the worst keep in the deck. The absolute worst. And it looks like open the way gate, maybe you're supposed to mulligan it. Because if you keep it, your win rate goes down. Now, I don't know if that's true. This is a Memnar question. But if you're on the coin against Demon Hunter, it's showing that keeping the quest lowers your win rate.
I don't know. I always keep the quest.
I don't know either. I'm not good enough to mulligan the quest. That's not something I do. But that's what the stats are saying. Now I don't know if that's accurate.
Hey, let's try a social experiment here. Hey, all of you people who are out there playing Cyclone Mage, I want you all to mulligan the quest and let's see what it does to the win rate.
Now, if you're against say a druid, right? If you're against a druid, you can keep the quest. Quest is good here. You win those, right?
Maybe. We don't know for sure.
The stats are pretty clear, right? If you're against what's the slow deck that we always beat? Priest. You're against a Priest. Now this is really interesting. Priest, best keep in the deck, Flamewaker.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't know that either.
It doesn't initially make sense to me, but if they just can't deal with it, you just kill them, right? Because you want to just deal them a lot of damage, and if they don't have an early removal spell, they're big on penance these days. They don't often have Shadow Word Pain. They don't even always have Forbidden Words. If you can stick a Flamewaker on an empty board against a Priest on turn 3, how good is that? Pretty good.
It's very good. But let me ask you a logistic question though. How do you when you're playing Hearthstone, you have multiple monitors. Do you have Hearthstone going on one and then HSReplay on your other monitor, or do you how do you refer to it when you're playing?
I generally recommend if you are playing Hearthstone, play Hearthstone. Close your Twitch stream. Have the game full screen. Focus on the game. If you are trying to win, if you're streaming or whatever, you're just joking around, having fun. Do whatever you want. Doesn't matter. The best time to look at HSReplay and your own replays for review is before and after games. Right? You want an idea, and if you want, you can keep the deck you're playing open on the screen. You can flip to, am I going first or on the coin? Figure out the class you're against. I generally recommend if you are playing, play the game that you have, because if you look at the tab, the stats don't tell the full story of every turn. And even the mulligan win rate, we don't know which version of Demon Hunter people are playing against. We don't have that much data. But you can take a look at it and figure out, what do I want to do? Why does this stat reflect a different reality than how I've been playing? And how can it help me figure out what's important in this matchup? But if you're playing the game of Hearthstone, you need all your brain cells to play the game that's in front of you. It's a hard game.
Yeah, it's not an easy game unless you're playing Secret Mage.
so
deck
you tell
shaming.
Me that I would.
We're not doing that here. No deck shaming.
You tell me that my win rate would go up if I didn't have Netflix going on the other screen.
What are you watching?
Mostly bad crime documentaries, or the Tiger King or whatever, Tiger King.
It's all right. Tiger King makes everything in your life worse. I can say that for sure.
Disagree. Oh, I really like it. I really liked all the characters on that show. A little unrealistic though, so probably not. Anyways, documentary.
So Craig, I know you're from Canada. You don't know that Florida is actually a place. It's a real experience.
The biggest villain in the world, Florida man.
Yes. I heard this thing a while back that you Google your birthday and Florida man, and you can see what crazy Florida man did on your birthday.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of Florida, man, we got to talk this deck that Hat brought. I know it doesn't have anything to do with Florida, but
I thought that you would appreciate this name, Hat, because I called it Disco Inferno. I think that you would.
Yeah.
There's like a double entendre there. I don't want to explain it. It'll ruin it.
There's a bunch of entendres.
So I am thoroughly entertained that somebody put Howl Fiend in a deck on purpose, with a purpose other than to give it to your opponent and have them discard their entire hand, and managed a ridiculous win rate with this. And it wasn't just you. It was what is it, Liam? Was it Grazzler? Or what is his?
Yeah, I gave it to Grazzler. I gave it to Schwal. I gave it to Beef Squatch was trying it out. Craptasm has been trying out. Like, a ton of people picked it up. It's a deck that I got from Gore Magic. It hit number 50 Legend on the China server. I picked it up on a whim one day because it was a Wild Wednesday. You know, that's a thing. And so I was streaming Wild Wednesday on my stream, and I picked up a Diamond 5, and 3.5 hours later I was Legend. It just happened. The games are super fast. I went 24-8 overall. And there are a lot of different builds of Discard Warlock. The reason that I like this one is because of how aggressive and low curve it is. Above 3 mana, and I'm not counting Frenzied Fellwing because that card costs 0. And Fist of Draxus really costs 0 too. So we really just have Doomguard because we're discarding Fist of Draxus, we're discarding Hand of Gul'dan, and we're playing Frenzied Fellwing for 0. So a lot of people really like Nightshade Matron, the 4 mana 5/5 with Rush that discards the highest cost in your hand, and I hate cards that cost more than 3. The lower the better. Be aggressive. If you want to beat Cyclone Mage, you have to go really wide, really fast.
Yeah, well, that's true.
The deck is super powerful, and I think Discard Lock is right now the big one that I feel like people should, like, really good players should really be taking time to find the optimal build, because this deck is really powerful. I can promise you that. I've played at least 5 iterations of Discard Lock that feel up to snuff. So there has to be a best one. This is the one that feels the best to me so far. Like, I haven't played one that felt better. And there's some more Zooey decks. There's some more controlling decks, some more mid-range. This deck just hits the sweet spot for me. I haven't played too much with it, maybe 15 games, 20 games, and it just feels really nice. So I strongly recommend playing it. Astros has been like championing Discard Lock for almost like half a year now. He's been trying to make it work, and it does work. Like, at this point, we can say that this is a real deck, and it has game against Quest Mage, which is huge. I think this deck benefits a lot from the Quest Mage nerf too, where the one turn really does make a difference a lot of the time with this deck. It's funny that you'll concede yourself, you'll fatigue yourself with this deck as well, which is really odd for an aggro deck. But
I hit
fatigue on turn 7 playing it today.
Yeah.
Well, but that's what you were saying, right? You want to win by turn 5 or turn 6, right? Otherwise, you're not going to win. I mean,
you can, but it's not very likely.
You have some longer game with Conrathad Prime, which resummons 3 demons. Often you will get back at least 1 Doomguard. It's definitely looking to compress the game into a shorter period and keep constant pressure on your opponent. You're not without recourse in longer games. Just the games tend to not go longer because your opponent dies.
True.
You can still do stuff later game that can matter.
I was talking about this the other day. Like, Howl Fiend is this is the first version of the deck that I've seen playing Howl Fiend, and it's incredible. It's probably one of the all-stars. Like, it really enables a lot, and it wasn't even looked at. So I just feel like we need to get more people to try this deck out and make their iterations of it, because it is powerful. It's so good. Even and some high level players disagree with you, Had. Like, they think that Matron belongs in the deck. Like, Get Meowth was in our Discord the other day, and he was looking at it and saying, I think that the 4 mana 5/5 rush is irreplaceable. It's incredible. It's one of the reasons you play the deck. Meanwhile, you have Hat over here who loves the deck and thinks that it's too clunky. And I kind of agree with Hat, but I haven't played enough games with both to know for sure. But the deck is just impressive. Like, I would say that it outperformed my wildest expectations. I think I was there when you played your first couple games with Discard Lock on stream. I don't know if that was your first day diving into it, Hat. But
yeah, I just picked it up from Twitter, and I agree 100% this deck is not optimized yet. I know Astrals has their own build they hit Legend with, which was awesome. I know that Get Me Out is testing some other stuff there. I'm not going to say it's optimal. I don't think it's optimal yet. I will say that the fluidity of the deck feels better when my cards on average cost less. Mm-hmm. And the reason Hellfiend works is because usually you empty your hand of stuff that you want to play very, very quickly. And so by doing that, Hellfiend is much more likely to hit that Hand of Gul'dan, hit that Fist of Jaraxxus, hit that Silverware Golem. And if you have like a Malchezaar's Imp in play, this happened today. I got defiled with a Hellfiend in play. I discarded 3, and then one of them was a Hand of Gul'dan, and I drew 3. So like, fine, okay. There are ways for the deck to be resilient in the early game and just keep constant pressure on, and make Warlock's removal a lot worse. Make Quest Mage have to either defensively quest or kill them before they can get that 7th and 8th tick, which that extra turn does matter a lot. Yeah. It's Paladin wouldn't be the matchup I want to face. Like, I don't really want to deal with really big minions quickly. I wouldn't want to deal with like a Wind Fury, Ziliax, something. But you're not going to win every matchup, right?
It's so funny. The version I was playing before, I was playing Astral's version. Like Paladin, you actually ended up winning that matchup because and I think in the Hellfiend slot, probably they were playing Cataclysm, which is discard your whole hand and destroy the board, and that was good. But then it's just weird because Cataclysm fits in a way, but at the same time, I think I'd rather develop a 3/6 body and discard my whole hand via Hellfiend. So it's just cool, and I really hope that some of you guys try it out, like, and really make some iterations and let us know what you find. And I'd like to. It's just weird then, because if it's a standard, we could look up like, well, what has the best win rate, like what version, what card is. But there's not enough information, so I strongly recommend trying it out, especially if you want something different, because I think a lot of people are sleeping on Discard Warlock.
Yeah, and let me, for the audio listeners, I'm just going to go through the list real quick, and just know that this is not optimized yet, but it's in the process. So it consists of 2 Flame Imps, 2 Malchezaar's Imps, 2 Soulfires, the Solarium, 2 Voidwalkers, Clutchmother Zavas, 1 Darkshire Librarian, 2 Expired Merchants, 2 Fellstalkers, the new Prime, Canrathad, Ebonlock, 2 Tiny Knights of Evil, 2 Hellfiends, 2 Silverware Golems, 2 Fists of Jaraxxus, 2 Frenzied Fellwings, 2 Doomguards, and 2 Hands of Gul'dan.
Yeah, it's super fun. Like mulliganing, I feel like you want to just keep the minions that you can get out fast, like your low drops, and like sometimes I'll keep my Hand of Gul'dan if I have like Expired Merchant. I tend to keep Hand of Gul'dan a lot. I think it's part of the engine of the deck. But
you keep Merchant, Hand, and 1-drops. Almost always that's it. If you're on the coin, you can do 2 into 2, but you keep Merchant, Hand, and 1-drops.
Yeah, you don't keep do you prioritize the Prime at all in the beginning of the game? Like if you have other demons, is it a keep at that point, or what do you think about that?
If I can like coin it out and then play 2 demons, sure. You really want the engine, right? You really want to make sure that you're churning through your deck, or at least generating some kind of advantage, which is why Merchant is so good, because you can also Merchant on a Doomguard. Just have 2 Doomguards, and that's fine. You can Merchant on a Fist of Jaraxxus, and then punch your opponent to death. You can even Merchant on a Frenzied Fellwing, and then when it dies, you just play 3 of them in 1 turn. Like, fine. It's okay.
Seems good.
Yeah. There are lots of ways to generate perpetual advantage, but the most important thing is to immediately apply pressure to your opponent, and that means you need fast cards, because if your opponent has a chance to set up, they get to play their cards on their game plan, on their terms, and not yours, and that's not what you want. You want to make sure they're reacting and not being able to do what they want to do.
Yeah. Agreed.
I have a soft spot in my heart for Zoo, because that's what I used to get my Golden Warlock back in the day. Like that classic Zoo lock with the kind of the demon package and the knife jugglers and the abusive sergeants. You guys remember that?
Yep.
Oh yes. My god.
And there have been a lot of great Zoo decks over the years. I mean, this kind of harkens back to them, but also Discard Zoo is a dream we've had since the Grand Tournament, and it hasn't really been consistently good until literally right now.
I still want someone to make the quest work, and I know that it's too slow. Everyone keeps telling me that it's too slow, but like I really like it.
Yeah, Astros gave it a try recently, and I don't think it worked out for him either. So unfortunately, Nate, it's gonna take longer.
It's not going to work out for anybody, but I still like it.
Turns out 3/2s aren't exactly the perfect thing against the Quest Mage meta.
True.
Like, you discard how many cards? It's 6 cards? Is it 6?
It's either 5 or 6.
I think it's 6, but you can do that so quickly. I think it's the tempo loss, right? And then, I mean, it's a tempo loss from not doing anything on turn 1, and then it's another tempo loss of not doing anything on turn 6. That just
to be clear, we're not discarding cards because we like discarding cards. We're discarding cards because they're good when we throw them away. And your quest reward is a Rising Winds for 5. Right? Rising Winds, the Druid card, 2 3/2s for 4 mana.
Oh, sorry, we play Wild. We weren't exactly sure what.
So you discard 6 cards to earn an overcosted Rising Winds that you get to recast?
Yeah. It's not that great.
Yeah.
Haha, Nate, your dream's dead.
I mean, you can listen. If you want to play it, you can play it, and it seems fun. Just I would manage your win rate expectations.
I actually think that is very, very true, and I agree with you. I mean, the card is too slow. I enjoy it, and I think what I like about it more is the flavor of it. Like the idea of opening a permanent portal that continues to summon imps every turn, like, is so much fun flavor-wise. It just kind of is a really crappy value. So
it is fun.
Yeah.
Haha, your dreams.
If they buff that card, what would you have to buff that card to make it good? What would be the text? Would it be 3 cards?
Discard 5 cards, add Time Warp to your hand.
Okay, I can see that. So maybe the trick is we give the Warlock reward to Mage and the Mage reward to Warlock.
Ah, there we go. We fixed it. XR.
All right?
It's not bad.
I mean, a Mage has a lot of portals already. They got Firelands portal. They got Unstable portal. Maybe the portal was so unstable they don't get to warp time. They just get some 3/2s.
Good point. Great point.
Okay, but for real though, I think that the reward is too expensive. It is part of it. That, like, on turn 6 or how much does the reward cost? 5 or 6, something like
5.
that. 5. But, like, that is not what I want to be doing in that style of deck. I don't want to use 5 mana to get 2 imps next turn. Like, it's a wasted turn, and it's kind of a win more, right?
I think it'd be playable if you skipped having to play that. If it was just discard 6 cards, summon a portal, that's your reward. Then maybe it would be good enough. But we're not in that world.
You'd also have to if you made the demons bigger, you might get something if they were 4/4s or something.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, in Wild, those aren't even that big for demons.
Right?
Sack Pack's gone. Well, anyway, Sack Pack being gone's cool, by the way. I forgot to mention that. Now we can play Priestess of Fury and our Demon Hunters and just feel incredible about it and not feel like jerks waiting to get Zephyrist or Sack Pack.
I still think we're using it in Q Block. I'm not sure how. Maybe it's a one.
You're using it to eat your Void Caller, right?
Yeah.
I'd rather play Dark Pack, though, in that situation myself. Or
one costs 1 mana, one costs 0. Aren't 0 mana cards, like, too good? Didn't we talk about that for an hour?
But one kills
they can't
cube.
They can't eat cubes, though. Yeah.
That's
true.
a big thing.
The question is how much aggro there is, because if there's a lot of aggro, you really want the 0 mana card, and if there's not, then you want to set up the cube for Doomguard combos. If you're playing Doomguard, you probably want the Dark Pact, and if you're not playing Doomguard, you probably want the Sack Pact.
That's a good point. You're full of those.
Yeah.
Good points, that is.
Thank you.
Cool. I'm happy we got that. Happy I got that off my chest. I needed to say that.
All right, so is there anything, since we're talking about this deck, is there anything in particular that we need to know aside from, keeping the cards that you said to keep? Like, what is the play style? When do you trade versus when do you go face? And when do you said apply constant pressure early game, but is there, like, what is the strategy here?
Most of your aggro decks. Sorry, go ahead, Hat.
So it's not really different from many aggro decks. This is really, really aggressive. You only trade if it generates you more damage, right? If you can trade in a 2/1, so your 3/2 lives, then trade. But if you aren't getting more damage by trading, don't trade. Let your opponent do it for you. If they're going to trade, let them do it for you. And that's the general aggro truism. In Wild, play around Defile. Be aware of Defile. You want to be aware of which cards are in your hand. So if you have the opportunity to play a bunch of cards, so the only thing in your hand with a Howl Fiend in play is a Hand of Gul'dan or Fist of Jaraxxus, you usually want to do that and play more stuff instead of less stuff. But not always. It's going to depend. Sometimes you have to trade your Malchezaar's Imp before you discard because you will burn cards, because you'll just draw too many. And if you can ever expired Merchant for Hand of Gul'dan, you should probably do it.
Yeah. That can get intimidating sometimes because it does get crazy when you have so many cards. But keep in mind, if you're burning a couple cards, but you have 10 cards in your hand, you're doing just fine as an aggro deck.
It's interesting to me because I traditionally don't play almost any aggro. I like combo. I like control.
You're a bit of a hitter like that.
Sure. I like mid range. I just don't. I have not. It's just not my preferred play style. I need to get good at it because I would like to get that golden demon hunter. But anyways. Well, after the show, we'll do some co-op games and then we can try it out. I mean, I clearly have a lot to learn about this deck, so I'm excited to play it. I mean, I only test played a few games with it, and I was struggling, but it's not my preferred play style, so I'm very interested to see how it goes.
And Demon Hunter needs a quest, by the way.
Does it?
Yes, it does, Hat. I really want it to be consistent with the other classes.
Well, I really want there to be an even Demon Hunter also, but
it's okay.
I mean, you can do that. You can play even Demon Hunter. You can even put odd cards into it. It's really powerful.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous Hat, that is. It's cool that you can play even or odd Demon Hunter or even Hunter, but you get the same kind of ability for both of them.
Oh God, Memnarch says it needs a Death Knight. I'd love it.
Oh God, that is scary.
Yeah. Well, I wonder what you would. I don't even want to think about it.
I think it would have. I think it would definitely have Outcast. I think that would be super flavorful.
Maybe like all your cards have Outcast draw a card.
Oh. Or what is it like? Outcast no longer like you. I don't know how you would word it, but all your cards Outcast is always on. You know.
Oh yeah. So your cards trigger Outcast from
regardless of their position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Maybe the UI, your hand kind of like splits apart a little bit, so they're not quite touching. So it stays flavorful.
That would be weird.
Very stupid. That's my gimmick, though.
That would be interesting. Maybe all your cards cost 3 less. It's like every card eats the Skull of Gul'dan. That would be safe, right? That'd be healthy.
Oh yeah, safe and healthy for sure. Similar to Razor Blades. That didn't make any sense to me. Anyway, yeah. So this is cool. It's nice to have another deck, and like Nate said, we'll be playing this a little bit after the show. You can catch it on the stream, and if you're listening to the podcast, you can see us playing this deck on youtube.com/Born to Be Wild podcast. It'll be a lot of fun. Hat's gonna kind of show us up a bit because we might be the wild experts, but Hat is a much better player than me. I'll admit it, but I won't admit it again. So I'll ask it again.
I appreciate that. We're not going to do some complicated things, man. We're going to jam 1-drops on one and then point them to the top spot on our opponent's board, and then just keep doing that till it blows up.
Perfect. Awesome. So I guess I'm trying to think, Nate. We don't have too much more to go about here, eh?
I don't really think so. I'm very appreciative of the Chinese meta for sharing some of these more off the wall decks, because I think their player pool is so much larger than ours. Consistently, like 20,000 people in Legend versus us have maybe 3. You know,
I can tell you though they're behind us in some regards. Like they're still playing Research Project and Cold Light Oracles in their Quest Mages. Like that's their main list, and we kind of figured that out before they did. So that we were pretty much in consensus now that those are not the right cards to play in Quest Mage. So.
Holy crap! Chat says 60,000 plus in Legend now on the China server.
That's crazy.
Wasn't there an interesting little thing that happened where there was a bug that if you were above 64,000 Legend, like if you were 65,000 Legend, the MMR would treat you like a top player because it ran out of space. Does that ring true to you guys?
There was something like that.
65536 is the number, right? Because that's 2 to the 16th is the limit of an unsigned integer is 65,536. So at 65,537, it would loop around and it would show 1.
Oh, so yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty
Oh,
funny.
no. I went to law school. I'm not a math person. I don't know what that
I work-
means.
This is
But
computer stuff. It's
I work
the
in
size of an integer is it's limited by the number of binary bits of how many ones and zeros, and each one doubles, right? So the first bit is 0 or 1, the next one is 0 or 2, 0 or 4. You keep doubling all the way up to 65536. And then when you go over by 1, you overflow, and then you hit the next integer, which is 1. So people at the very bottom of the ladder were showing up as rank 1 legend visually, even though they are not rank 1 legend.
Cool. Very cool. All
Very
right.
specific.
I love it. So we're gonna start wrapping up. I guess that's what we have to do, because we can't do the show forever as much as we'd like to. So, Ridiculous Hat, why don't you list the many ways that people can find you, hear you, see you, whatever. Let them know where they can see you.
You can find me on Twitter at Ridiculous Hat and almost any Hearthstone Discord at Ridiculous Hat. You can find me on my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/Ridiculous Hat. We were playing this deck today. Also want to give a shout out to Firewalk with me, who's in the chat. We played them on stream. We accidentally gatekept them from Legend, from First Time Legend, but they got there anyways. Congrats, Firewalk with me.
yay!
Yeah.
And you can also find me on my podcast at coinconcede.com, where I host with Bodicus and Appa, and we have an array of guests that are on as well. Heading over there, it's coinconcede.com, twitter.com/coinconcede, or discord.coinconcede.com to hang out with us. And we stream our shows on Thursday nights at 8:30 Eastern. Usually go about 2 hours, and then we usually release them on Saturdays.
Yeah, and if you're trying to find Hat on all those places, just rewind 30 seconds and play it in 0.5 speed, and you will find all of his. I promise you, he did tell you where to find him. He did. I respect.
I did.
I cannot talk that fast, and I wish I could. That's a gift, Hat. You'd be proud of it. I don't care what Bodicus says.
I'm proud of it, but also, if you want to practice that, say the same thing every week for multiple years, and you will get very good at it.
Oh, wait, let me try. You can follow me at Craig of Canada. That's CRAIG of Canada. If you can't spell Canada, you can't follow me. That's all I have, though, Hat. I don't go anywhere else.
You should have seen Hat. The first show that we did, it starts out, welcome to another episode of Into the Wild, the first wild exclusive Hearthstone podcast on the Information Superhighway.
It never ended.
Isn't that Happy Hearthstone?
We're the first wild exclusive.
I apologize.
That's right.
Wild exclusive. Yes.
Now we're
That's
no
right.
longer the first. We're technically like the fourth. And now, for a second, we thought we were the longest running, but we forgot about Hearthstoners. And anyway, it's a long story.
You're the OGs. It's fine. You're the OGs. It's no big
Yeah,
deal.
people know. So, Nate Wolf, where can they find you? And then, more importantly, the show.
They can find me on.
No offense.
Oh, thank you so much. You can find me on Twitter at NateWolfTCG. It's NateWolfeTCG. And I agree with Greg. More importantly, you can find us, the show, on Twitter at Born to Be Wild HS. We do have a Discord. I will post the link on our Twitter. All of our content is up wherever fine podcasts can be downloaded. And all of our content has made its way to YouTube as well, which is youtube.com/Born to Be Wild podcast.
Awesome. And Nate, before we go, I'm going to need some advice. Play the bumper. And now, unrelated advice. With Nate Wolf. Nate, today I come to you asking the big question. I'm on quarantine, right? I'm not working, and I have like 4 games right now that I love. Hearthstone, Magic. They just came out with a brand new Super Mario Maker 2 update that's huge, and Final Fantasy 7, not the remake. I'm playing the original on my Switch. What do you do, Nate, when you have all these incredible things you want to do and you just can't seem to find the time and it's stressing you out? And my girlfriend goes, if your problem is what game is the best game to play, then I don't have much sympathy for that. And I go, be quiet, Tiana. I love you, but you're bothering me. Anyway, what's your advice, Nate, for when you have so much time? Give me some advice of how to pick your favorite games, and how does it make it tough for you to make decisions on what to do every day?
There is a very simple solution here. All you have to do is stop sleeping, and you can play all the games. I think I play Hearthstone all day, and then Hollow Knight all night. And then once I beat one of those, then I move on to the next one. I do like to gonna jump around a little bit. I hear that the new Final Fantasy VII is really good. I have not bought it yet, but we'll get around to it. I just bought the Ori and the Will of the Wisps game, the sequel to Ori and the Blind Forest, so be playing that soon as well. Yeah, man. I mean, I think you can survive on 2 to 3 hours of sleep per night. Just ask Kat. He does it all the time, right?
Yeah, I do need your advice here too.
Play fewer games.
Wiser words have never been spoken, and you heard that on Born to Be Wild.